Today marked the first MotoGP press conference in a very long time where Pecco Bagnaia didn't have to answer the question, who do you hope is your teammate for 2025? Except they still found a way to kind of ask that question. But before I get into everything that happened at MotoGP Media Day in Assen, please, if you could subscribe, help us grow here on YouTube. I actually answer every single comment, so come on, hit me with your best shot. That was a little Pat Benattari, but you get the picture. With the announcement that Marc Márquez will be riding next to Pecco Bagnaia for that Ducati factory seat, and Enea Bastianini going to KTM, and Viñales going to KTM, and Jorge Martin and Marco Bezzecchi going to Aprilia, we have finally some pieces that have all been pressed carefully into place. But the mood among the riders in today's press conference felt a little more like a funeral than a grand celebration of everyone's future. I mean, Jorge Martin is rightfully frustrated that he put 4 years in Ducati with that factory seat kind of dangling just out of reach, and it just kept being out of reach. He even said today, it just felt like it was never going to happen, and then it didn't happen. And as much as he's putting on a good face going forward, happy about going to Aprilia, looking forward to the future, he says he's focusing on this season. He's been assured from Ducati that he's going to get all the support he could ever need to win a world title, but we all know they will be rooting for Pecco Bagnaia behind the scenes. And Maverick Viñales just looked dejected in the press conference, answering questions about the move from Aprilia to KTM. I've already said I think one of his biggest points of frustration is that he wants to be number one. He wants to be the top guy at the team. He knew going to Aprilia that Aleix was the captain, but I think when Aleix retired, he was expecting to wear that C on his arm. And he said in the press conference that he'd made his decision to kind of move on from Aprilia before the Jorge Martin thing was announced, but you know what? It sure didn't help. And likewise with Enea Bastianini, what are we expecting him to jump up and down and say, yay, Ducati went with someone else, and now I'm going to be at an independent KTM team. He could be happy to be there. He can hope for success. He can hope to earn his way into that factory KTM seat. Brad Binder slips up a little bit, Enea wins some races for KTM. He's going to be right there next to Pedro Acosta. But again, I don't think anyone is celebrating all these results today. And with so many riders going to new teams next year, it is going to be a long 2024 season for a whole host of them. It's kind of like breaking up with your girlfriend and then still living together because, the lease isn't up yet. And I think you could tell that Marc Márquez was kind of toning down his glee about getting basically everything he wanted, while others, kind of had to settle. Now, rider market aside, it does seem like Pramac is very close to a deal with Yamaha to become their featured satellite team. And you're not going to pay Ducati big bucks for that GP25 if you're not running at the front and if you're not competing for a team title. When Yamaha is coming to Pramac with a silver platter saying, hey, we will give you the farm, we'll give you the whole thing, nothing, we just want to be in business together. How do you exactly just say, nah, I don't want to do that? And it's a big deal because Ducati did everything in their power to keep everything they had. They wanted to keep Jorge, they wanted to keep Marc, they wanted to keep Pramac. And in the end, I think they're only going to get Marc out of this deal. And thankfully for us, there's so many more decisions to come. If Pramac does go to Yamaha, who does get the GP25? Do they go to Gresini? Do they go to VR46? And where does Fermin Aldeguer fit into all this? Not to mention the riders that are already in the paddock that don't currently have seats. Alex Rins, Miguel Oliveira, Jack Miller, Ralph Fernandez. Fabio Di Giannantonio, there's a whole host of riders that don't have their future solidified quite yet. So the silly season rolls on.